Hey everybody, welcome back to another design tutorial in Adobe Xd, and today we'll be designing this cool music player application plus a prototype to make this application come to life. All this is done using the IBM Design system, which many people know as the Carbon design system. And somebody actually asked me about Carbon design system, so that is where I got this idea. So go ahead and put down in the comments what you'd like to see more. Without further ado, let's just get started with this tutorial. So first of all, as you can see, I just wanted to share a little bit of my process. So after I do my wireframing, I do a couple of just to try out some of the features and experiment with them, more like an exploration, and then I land up on the final two designs. So if you're making a lot of mistakes, no problem. If you don't have a good product at the first stage, no issue. You will start getting a better product as soon as you start designing more and researching more. So for this, first of all, what you got to do is download the IBM Design Kit, which is available online, but I'll give the link down in the description so you can quickly download it. It's a sketch file, but thankfully Adobe Xd allows you to import sketch files. All you need to do is go and say open and say your computer. So open from your computer and just open the sketch file that is needed. Once you do that, you can just make sure that it is saved on the cloud, and once that is done, go to assets, click on this plus, and as you can see, everything just appears here. I've already saved it as Carbon Design System Gray 100 theme. That's the theme that we're going with for this application. And UI kits and systems make it very easy and fast to actually get your at least your first iterations of an application done. So a huge advantage, and I just want to show you how design systems work inside Adobe Xd and how you can take advantage of these design systems. So first of all, I will create a quick artboard, which will be an iPhone 6, 7 or 8 artboard. Since I'm using an iPhone 6, make sure that whatever device you're using as an actual device in your hand, you're trying to replicate it on the screen. So that's why I'm doing this here, and I'll just rename this to player. Right now, here what we want to have is, first of all, change the background color, and the colors here all appear here. And as you can see, there's this link icon on the right, which shows that it's been imported from another file. And you can click on these links you can check out these links on the other file. If you change it there, it'll get changed here as well. So that's the little tip. Now we'll just make this a dark background, which is the darkest on the IBM Design system. And here I want to have a top portion, which is basically the image of the album art and the information of basically the music, right? And I will just expand this to this entire area, and I'll make sure that this is a slight gray, which we'll pick up from here. As you can see, this is the gray that we want. And we will make sure that the bottom left and right are actually curved edges, right? That's what is the trend these days, and that's more of a modern design, so we're just going to follow that. The bottom, if I go to this right hand side and under appearance, as you can see, if I click on this little cube, I can actually edit each corner's radius. So there's top left, top right. We want the bottom left and bottom right, so 24 by 24 pixels. That is what we're going on for this project. Here I want an image, so I've already downloaded a couple of images. You can pick any image you want, but I want to go for a Logic album since I'm a huge Logic fan as well. If you've heard Logic's music ever, just put that down in the comments. We're a part of the Rat Pack for sure. So I just want to hold shift and place it right here, because every album art is a square, so you can easily adjust it to this area and you'll know that it'll fit. So I want this rectangle to be slightly longer. We'll adjust it based on the content that we'll place in here. So next we want a title. For title, I just want to say, Young Jesus. That's a song of this album, Young Jesus, featuring Big Lenbo. Yeah, so that's it. And now the style of the actual font we can again copy from the left. Okay, so if you have missing fonts, go ahead and install them onto your system. Adobe will try its best to install these fonts on your system through its cloud network, but if it doesn't, go ahead and manually do it. On the left, you can see a lot of styles of text, but we basically want a heading. So quickly search for a heading, and as you can see, heading here, make sure it's on a dark background. So the 16.1 seems fine. So I'll just use this, and I'll place this right here in the middle. Now, the thing with design systems is if it's a pretty large UI kit or a large design system, it can slow down your system, your actual system, down a little bit. So beware that your system might lag a little bit in between while you're designing if you're using such a big UI kit, right? Adobe XD, this is a shout out to Adobe XD team. Hopefully they can fix this issue in the future. So I want this to be actually 12 pixels from the top, right? From this artboard, actually 24 pixels. So let's do 10, 20, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that you get 24 pixels from the top, and just say Command B or Control B to make this bold. Just place this in the center. Perfect. Now here below this, I want the artist's name and the album that this belongs to. So quick tip, if you're using text, make sure it's the same font first of all. So we want we want to define who's created this, and we also want the name of the album. So we'll just do logic, I'm forgetting what this dash is called, but I'll put that. And logic in, I'll say incredible, the incredible true story. So that's the name of the album and everything like that. Now, the name of the album is also important, and the artist name as well. So we'll make sure that this font is not smaller. The font, we'll play with the font weight and the opacity. So we'll go ahead and say Command B to remove the bold, and we'll make sure that this opacity is about 60%, right? Again, this is a little tricky because, okay, here you go, 60%. And now I'll just place this in the center just below this. And I want this to be about 6 pixels from the top, from the name right here. Okay, so I just want this to be about 0 pixels from the top, right? Because it's one and the same thing, and we're separating it through opacity. That's all right. Now what we want to do is finally place the play button right here, which I will do. First of all, I'll make an ellipse by clicking E, and I'll just press escape. Now here, I want this to be the blue, the theme that we're going for highlighting this. This is the IBM blue, and we're going for this. And I also want a shadow behind this, but a shadow which is slightly smaller than the actual diameter of the circle. So what we'll do is create another circle which is slightly smaller visually, and also we'll create a shadow. So the shadow should be the same color as the actual component. So here we want 12, and we want about a 12 spread as well, not too much. Make sure that the spread is not too much, and the opacity of the shadow should be around 50% for this project. And we'll go ahead and place this on top right here, closer to the center, just 1 or 2 pixels from the center, and place this behind this, right? And make sure you group these by saying Command G or Control G. Now that these are grouped, you can have one component, right? Now inside this, I want to place the icon. An easy way to fetch icons is to go to this all assets here, click on this, and you can just search for whatever icon you want. I want the play button, so I'll just say play and press enter. As this is a big UI kit, it has a lot of components, so it might take a second or two. Once it's done, you can just fetch the icon from the left side. Again, you'll have a lot of issues, so I recommend using another icon pack altogether, or using Sketch or some other software to import these icons from. Since this supports Sketch the most, you'll be able to get all the components in Sketch and just export them as SVG and then place them here. That's what I've done. Again, I'll be placing the Adobe Xd file and all the resources down below, so you don't really need to worry about this project. So I'll just quickly copy this. Okay, so now that I've placed the play button, there's a small issue with the play button. Since it's such a triangle, it's not completely visually centered in the circle. So a huge trick is to just place it 3 or 4 pixels from the actual center to make sure that it looks visually centered as well. So this is a little quick tip for you beginners as well. Just place it like that and say group, just group this out. And I want this button to be 24 from the text right here. So 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. Place it in the center, and there you go. That's the play button that we'll be working with. Other 2 buttons are the going back and the forward button. Again, I've quickly placed both of these like this. I want them to be 24 pixels again from the center of this circle. So 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do the same with this icon, and we'll just do 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. So now you have 2 icons which are placed evenly from the circle and this circle as well. Now, if you see this on the mobile, it's very closely placed. It's not visually right. So what we do is just place another 12 pixels to the left. So 10, 1, 2. Do the same with this right one. Just say 10, 1, 2. Just to make it more visually appealing and slightly more minimal as well. Now we have all this content here. Now what we want to do is make sure this is slightly smaller right here, so that we can put all the other data and the buttons right below this. Perfect. So first of all, we want a slider as well, like a slider which slides through the music. I think it's called scrubbing. Yeah, so for that we'll create quickly select the line tool from either here, or we'll just say L to actually select the line tool and create a straight line by holding shift and just dragging this mouse over to here. So now this is a completely straight line, and I want this to be about 3 pixels in width, in size, the border, and the border should be white, right? Now I want this to be just at the bottom of the image, just like that. Perfect. And I want this to be, kind of shorter. I'll tell you why in a second. And let me just duplicate this once and place it just behind this. Just increase the width to 100%, right? Make sure that the opacity is about 50% now. As you can see now, this will indicate how much of the song has completed and how much is left. And to allow the user to scrub, you must place a visual scrubber or a visual button. So for that, we'll just create a quick ellipse which will actually be white, just to merge in with the white here. And we'll also give it a slight shadow. We want this shadow to be the basic shadow that Adobe has, right? And we'll just group this element together as well, since it's going to stay together. So both these lines as well as this circle, and just say Command G or Control G to group them. Perfect. Have I grouped this? Nope. So now all we want to do is just group this line and this translucent line together. Make sure that one component, and also this circle as well. So just quickly group this. That's it. Now above this, we want a short timer. Just a small timer indicating how long this song has been running. So 0.24 seconds out of 2 minutes 24 seconds. I mean, I'm just shooting darts in the dark right here. So I'll just quickly make sure that this font is slightly smaller, so about 12 pixels. It's just an indication, guys. It's not something that is very crucial. It's more of an indicator, a positive indicator, that is, that this is how much the song is left. And just place it 1, 2, 3, 4 from the actual slider. Perfect. Now we have the actual timing and a timestamp, and also we have our all our elements that needed to be placed. Below this, we'll just make sure that it's slightly taller. Perfect. And here I want to place in the shuffle button, the heart button, and also the repeat button. So for that, we'll quickly create. Now we don't know how much distance we needed from the left, right, or the right. For that, we'll quickly use this feature in Adobe Xd, which allows us to create a quick grid. So if I drag this feature from the left, and as you can see, these arrows appear, and I can drag it as long as I want. So I just want it to be 6 pixels from the left here, and one more we'll create for all the components and the content. Just drag it from the left and select about 12 from this line, right? Okay, so we're going to select about 24 from that line right here. Perfect. Make sure this is visually perfect as well. Come on, yeah, perfect. So that is how much distance that we need for the content as well. So here what we're going to do is we're going to place 2 rounded rectangles. To do that, we'll just create a normal rectangle. Since in Adobe Xd there is no rounded rectangle feature like if you have in Figma or Sketch, but this is pretty cool. All I need to do is just say 12 pixels on the border radius, just like that, and just pick the same color that we have right here, right? And I will place a quick, again, to search icons, I can just say repeat here and just press enter, and it should search. But another Adobe Xd problem, that Adobe Xd problem of not being able to handle such large UI kits is getting in the way of me. So I've already saved that. I did a little workaround through Sketch, importing it through Sketch, but you don't have to worry. I will be giving the XD file for download in the description. And now my Mac is hanging. So it really takes a lot of load for a UI kit this heavy to run. So I'm addressing a little problem here. Okay, I'm sorry XD, I'm not trying to diss you, but during the recording there was a lot of hanging on my system, and this is a MacBook 2, I think a 2018 MacBook, and it's pretty, I'm not saying it's maxed out, but it's pretty solid machine. Shouldn't happen with this. I'll just make sure that this rectangle is smaller and the repeat is actually in the center like this. And I'll just copy this rectangle over to this. And again, I'm going to create a quick grid by just dragging these lines out here. Make sure it is 16 pixels or 6 pixels from the left, right? Oops, it's 7 now. 6, oh, 5, 7, 6, 6. Okay, there we go. And just place it right there around that line. Make sure this shuffle is actually centered along with the icon. Perfect. Now we have 2 buttons and 1 heart, which is supposedly in the middle. Well, it is in the middle. So this is the repeat button, this is the shuffle button, and this is the like button. So a lot of music apps have a love or dislike button. So this is trying to replicate that. Below this, we'll put in the upcoming song. So we'll just say up next in text. And since it's already using the default text of this document, which is IBM Plex Sans, this is actually lagging again, but yeah, there you go. And make sure this is on the left like this, right here, and 24 pixels from this card. So there you go, 24. Make sure this is actually 16 pixels. That's what we're going for headings. We want to keep the consistency with the headings. 16 pixel it is, right? Now below this, we'll just leave it like that because we're not making a whole list as well. So this is pretty much the whole page that we were looking for, and we'll quickly create the whole effect right here with this list. I'm just quickly gonna copy this list over without the actual component. So first of all, I'm just gonna duplicate this layer. So for auto animate to work, you have to make sure that each layer is a duplicate of the earlier layer. So all the elements, components are the exact same. Now here what we have is another page with exact same components, and we'll start just decreasing all these components to make the actual sliding down effect come to life. Now here what I'm going to do is make sure I select all these elements at the bottom and up next as well. and just slide them down a little bit like this. But there's a quick problem that will appear. These actually come out of the area of this. So what we're going to do to make the whole thing easier, cleaner, and faster, we'll create a quick mask, right? Masks work well if you want to place something outside the actual viewport and then make it appear inside the viewport so that there's no disturbance in the actual animation. So here in the original artboard, I'll just create a rectangle. It's a very simple trick. Just select the rectangle tool. Every time this is saving, it's actually, kind of causing the system to lag. So what I'm going to do is quickly go to File. If it stops lagging, if you hate when your system lags when you're designing, put that in the comments. So Adobe Xd might see it and might work on the performance of XD when working with big UI kits. Come on. So what I'm just gonna do is just say save as and just say your computer, because it's taking way too long to save to the cloud. So here I create a quick rectangle, and which just covers this area, nothing more, nothing less. And this will actually be the mask. So select everything, just drag out and select everything and say Command Shift M or Control Shift M for Windows. And there you go. Now you have a masked, masked component, which is basically if you double click, only then can you select something which is inside, right? All we're gonna do is click on this player, which is the actual artboard. Come on, man, this is lagging so bad. Can't handle this heat. It's so hot in here. There's no AC. Okay, I'm just gonna duplicate this real quick, and here what I'm gonna do is make everything much smaller to come inside that small sticky panel at the bottom. All I need to do is, if God wills, if God allows me to do this, I'll be able to do this. And I'll just shift to this so that I don't need to see all those freaking components. So here I'm going to double click inside so that I go through the mask, and as you can see, this is masked, all the components. So first of all, I make the image much okay. First of all, I'll select the image right here and make this much smaller. And I want this to be around 100, right? So just lock it down and say 100. I'll quickly hold Shift and place this image make this image much smaller and place it right here. We'll set the exact dimensions later. And here what I want to do is select everything at the bottom, just drag and select right here. I want to select everything at the bottom, including the heart and the repeat and everything, and just place it outside. Now that we've masked it, it can easily go outside without, not showing itself at all inside the artboard. So just make this 0% opacity so that it kind of fades out as well. And also these controls, we don't need these fast forward and back controls for our designs right now. We just want the play and pause. So we'll place this at the bottom as well and just make this go away by saying 0% opacity. And now all we need to do is play with all the other elements. Just remove this slider as well that we have made here. So delete this, just delete it. You don't have to do anything else with it. And make sure that this component actually comes down and it just becomes smaller in height as well. And now make sure that all the sides are actually 24 on the border radius, so that there's this evenness. And place this 12 pixels from the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 10, 15, okay, so that makes it 12, right? And make this image come here and towards, and just align with this kind of edge that we've given here, and make sure this is border radius the same, 24, a little too much, we'll make it 12, perfect. And here we'll just make this control much smaller, around about 30 pixels in diameter. And place this right here, right? And make sure this is also 12 from the right, so 10, that'll be 12, perfect. Now we have the image as well as the play button. Now we want to place the title right here and place this right here. Now the title also needs to change a little bit. We need to first of all align this logic from the left to the left align this logic title right here, and make sure this is smaller. So this is right now 14, we'll make this about 12. Make sure this is aligned perfectly as before, so 0 from the top right here, and make sure this is actually centered out, and 12 pixels from this image. So there you go, 9, 10, 11, 12. There you go. Now that is our bottom card which we've just created right now. Also make sure that it's, you know, aligned from the edges. So just 6 pixels from the edges this card needs to be, just like that. So there's spacing or padding between the edges of the screen as well as this. There you go. Now all we need to do is just copy all these components that we had from the original design. This is no big deal. This is just you know, everything that needs to be added from the earlier design into here. We just copy some things, not everything right here, right? And there we go. We don't need to place anything else, just for show, you know. And here, one more thing that we need to do is, before we actually go ahead and prototype this, we have to make sure that there's a draggable element here. All we need to do is go to the rectangle tool, create a rectangle above all this. It doesn't need to be full width or full height even. And make sure this is 0% opacity. Place another one on the right here on this artboard, and just drag this towards the bottom, and make sure that the top of this element aligns with the top of our actual, you know, this sticky at the bottom, right? So it kind of does right now, and I'll show you why we're doing this in a while. So now what we need to do is, since the design is more or less complete for this video, all we need to do is go to prototype. Inside this, I want to select this overlay that we created. So make sure that this overlay is above everything else. And from this, I'll just drag this arrow to the next artboard, and rather than saying tap, I'll say drag. So make sure the drag trigger is on. Auto animate should always be on. And you know, this destination artboard is player 1, and that's the name we have here. And rather than saying none, I want it to have like a little easing effect. So ease in out will do the trick. Also say fixed position when scrolling. A lot of people are having problems with this new layout of and the new positioning of this, but with Adobe Xd's update, there must have been some thought to this update as well. And we'll do the same at the right. There's another overlay. We'll do the same with this and just drag it out to the first, so that we can do the same thing in reverse. So let's test this prototype out real quick. I'll drag this, and as you can see, everything is just perfectly aligning itself and becoming a part of this bottom. And if I increase this, it'll come back up like this. Now that's pretty smooth, even though my original design, which I took a while to make, was a little smoother, right? But you can work on this whole animation, make sure every aspect has the same name, every component has the same name in the first and the second artboard for everything to work smoothly. So that was today's video. If you did like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I really like all the support that you guys been showing me, and because I post awesome videos every Monday and Thursday. That's my schedule, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.